You are here now, and before anything settles, before anything becomes quiet, there is already a sense of being supported. Not something you create, not something you bring into place, but something that is already here. The body is already resting, already in contact, already held by what is beneath it, without effort, without direction. And you can arrive here in whatever way you are, with the day as it was, with the mind moving as it moves. And still, there is something underneath all of that that remains steady, that continues to hold without needing anything in return. And as you begin listening, you may notice the sound beneath these words. Steady, soft, present in its own way. Nothing here is waiting for anything from you. Just there. And you are here with it. Already within it. Already supported by it. There is nothing you need to do to be received here. Nothing needs to be arranged. Nothing needs to be put into place. The body can remain exactly as it is. The breath can move in its own way. Attention can come and go. And something continues to hold quietly, consistently, without needing to be noticed. Even the sense that something feels unsettled or still in motion is already being held in the same way. Nothing falls outside of that. Nothing moves beyond it. Everything that appears remains within this. And as that begins to register, even slightly, there may be a softening. Not something you create, not something you make happen. Just a natural response to not needing to carry anything. And even a small sense of that is enough. There is already enough here. And you can remain here as you are, within something that continues to hold, without needing to do anything to stay within it, gently held without condition. If the mind continues to move from one place to another, carrying pieces of the day, that movement can continue, like something passing in the background, without needing to settle. There can be thinking and listening at the same time. And all of it can remain here together. You are still here, not separate from any of it. Just here. And underneath that movement, there is something steady, something that does not shift with each thought, something already present, and you are already within it, already held within it. If something from the day is still here, lingering or unresolved, it can rest here, not solved, not finished, just resting. Nothing needs to be carried in the same way. Everything can sit a little more loosely, a little more open, without needing to disappear. And as that softens, even slightly, the body may begin to respond in its own way, without direction, without effort. Even a small shift is enough. There is already enough here. Nothing here is asking you to hold it all together. Rest is already here, not waiting for anything to finish, not depending on anything being resolved. It can exist right in the middle of things, right alongside movement, uncertainty, incompleteness. Rest can remain underneath all of that, quietly, without needing to replace it. And you can settle into that in whatever way happens naturally. Nothing here is asking you to become more ready for rest. It is already here with you. Things do not need to be figured out here. They can remain open, unresolved, still forming, without losing anything. There is space for not knowing, space for things without shape, space for things that are still becoming. And within that, nothing is missing. Nothing here is falling behind. Nothing here needs to rush toward completion. Things can remain unfinished and still be gently held here. Things can remain open here, not needing to settle, not needing to take shape. They can stay as they are, still forming, still moving, without losing anything. There can be space for what is not yet clear, space for what hasn't fully come together, space for what is still unfolding. And within that, nothing is missing. Nothing has been left out. Nothing has fallen away. Everything that is here remains within this, exactly as it is. Thoughts can continue appearing, shifting, moving through without needing to land. Sensations can come and go, rising, changing, settling in their own way. And all of it remains within this space without needing to become anything else. There is room here for things to be unfinished, room for things to remain open, room for what does not yet have an answer. And none of that changes anything. Nothing needs to be completed for this moment to continue. It is already continuing, already holding everything that appears. And within that, there can be a quiet sense of space widening, not something created, not something added, just something noticed, as less needs to be held, less needs to be resolved, less needs to come together, and even a small sense of that is enough. There is already enough space here for everything that is present. And you can remain within that as things continue, as they are, gently held within all of this. There are moments like this in every life where things feel unclear, where something lingers, where something does not fully settle. Nothing about that places you outside of anything. Nothing about that separates you. This is part of the movement, part of being here, part of everything that continues. And even this is included. Even this belongs within what holds you. Nothing here has asked you to be untouched or perfectly settled. You can remain inside this moment exactly as you are. There can be moments where something feels slightly off or not quite settled, as if there is a small distance between where things are and where they're expected to be. That sense can feel real, like something hasn't quite come together or hasn't landed in the way it was meant to. And even that is part of what is here. It doesn't move anything outside of this moment. It appears within it in the same way as everything else. You are still here, still within this, still part of everything that is unfolding. Nothing about that shifts. Nothing about that is lost. And even the feeling that something is not aligned or not fully settled remains within this, held in the same way as everything else. There is no separate place where that goes. It stays here, as it is, without needing to resolve. Without needing to become anything else. And as that softens, even slightly, there can be a quiet softening. Not because something changed, but because it didn't need to. Everything that appears continues within this. Thoughts, sensations, movement, stillness. None of it leaves. None of it falls away. It remains within the same space, steady underneath change, continuous underneath movement, and you remain within that without needing to hold on to it, without needing to keep track of it. It is already here, already present, already including everything, gently held exactly as it is. The body is already being supported, held by what is beneath it, without effort. You may notice the weight, the contact, the quiet support that has been here all along. And some of that weight can begin to settle naturally without being pushed, without being directed, just received, just gently held. Nothing here is asking the body to carry more than it already does. The support underneath you remains here, quietly, without condition. Breathing is already happening, rising, falling on its own. No guidance needed, no change required, just movement, coming and going. And attention can rest here, or drift, or move. Nothing is disturbed by that. The breath does not need to become deeper or calmer or different. It is already enough, exactly as it is, and you can rest here with it without needing to do anything. To remain held within this moment. What has been here can begin to feel closer, less like something being heard and more like something being recognized, something already familiar, already present, not added, not created, just noticed. And within that, there can be a quiet sense of remaining as you are, without needing to become anything else. Nothing here is asking you to move closer to what already holds you. Nothing here is waiting for you to become more worthy of what has always been here. And even a small recognition of that can soften something deeply, without effort, without needing to be forced, just gently remembered. Nothing here needs to separate itself. Nothing here needs to move away. Everything that appears remains within what holds it. Thoughts, feelings, memories, movement, stillness, all of it continuing, all of it remaining within the same quiet holding. nothing has fallen outside of that. Nothing has slipped beyond it. Not the mind, not the body, not the parts that still feel unsettled, not the parts still learning how to rest. All of it remains here, gently held without condition. And there can be a quiet recognition, not something added, not something created, just something noticed. That underneath every movement, there has always been something continuous, something that does not pull away, something that does not close, something that remains through every version of this moment. And perhaps that is why even brief moments of softening can feel so familiar, as though something deeper has been here the entire time, quietly holding everything together, without asking anything in return. And within that, there can be the sense that what holds all of this has never been separate from you, not distant from you, not waiting somewhere else, but here, already surrounding this moment, already underneath this breath, already within everything that appears. And even now, with thoughts continuing, with sensations moving, with attention drifting and returning, something remains gently continuous, steady underneath change, holding without effort, remaining without condition. The oneness of the universe is love, and nothing beneath you has ever withdrawn from that. Nothing here has asked you to earn what has always been holding you. You can rest here without needing to hold yourself together, without needing to become more ready, without needing to move closer. All of this is already here, already continuing, already holding you exactly as you are. Nothing needs to be rushed. Nothing needs to be picked back up all at once. This can continue, even as things begin to shift. Nothing here is left behind. Nothing disappears. It remains quietly underneath movement, underneath thought, underneath change. And you can move from here without losing this. Nothing here is asking you to hold on to the feeling or preserve it perfectly. What holds you does not disappear when attention moves. It remains here too, quietly, without condition. This can continue without needing to end, without needing to close, just resting, just unfolding, just being. Nothing to hold, nothing to track, nothing to maintain. Just this, continuing in its own way, still here, still breathing, nothing missing. All of this held in love. Nothing here has moved away from you. Nothing here has withdrawn what was always here. And you can rest inside that without needing to hold on to it, without needing to keep any of it together. Just here, gently held exactly as you are.